I get to bring out another co-presenter, and in this case, it's a guy I've known for many, many years, Ken Auletta of The New Yorker, whose column I just learned tonight is pronounced The Annals of Communication. I've been getting that wrong for about 20 years. I always gave me something to giggle about when the magazine came, and now I see there's two N's in this spelling. Ken is the author of 11 books. He has really chronicled especially the side of this industry that I work in, and I've never, ever missed a piece of his work, and that holds for his newest, called Get Rich You, where he describes Stanford as the farm system for Silicon Valley. So to tell you about tonight's newest member of the Magazine Editors Hall of Fame, welcome a colleague of yours, a friend of mine, Ken Auletta.
Thank you. Aside from Lady Gaga, I can't think of anyone who has as many costume changes as Terry McDonell. He's written screenplays, novels, almost an All-America football player, beautiful etchings, photography, and he's edited 13 magazines. He's even appeared on Saturday Night Live. Pulsing through Terry's career is a quirky, passionate spirit. He cares about good journalism and great writing. It's revealed in the writers he's edited: Gate Talese, Tom Wolfe, George Plimpton, Joan Didion, Jim Salter, Hunter Thompson, Frank DeVord. It's revealed in the kinds of stories Terry's assigned. Years before the New York Times series on how football ignored the permanent damage from temporary concussions, Terry did a series in SI. We learned first about steroid use and Alex Rodriguez in SI. Before there was a Wired magazine, Terry did a special technology issue in 1984 for Newsweek magazine. Before most magazines had an app, Terry produced an app for Sports Illustrated that became a template for many people in this room. Too many editors are cheap with compliments, not Terry. His world is not a zero-sum game where if you win, he loses. That generosity, I think, springs from who Terry is. As hard as he works as an editor, he's worked harder at raising two spectacular sons, Nick and Thomas, who are here with us tonight. Because Terry is a rebel in a suit, he can drive his bosses to distraction. You'll see in the video in a moment John Huey being interviewed, and he's asked about Terry, and he says, "I always like to think I'm collaborating with Terry, but I'm not sure Terry feels the same way." Terry's an artist at work, at friendships, in the quirky way he views life. One last thing. As you'll see in the video coming up, Terry once had a chin.
It's Saturday Night Live!
I think that most of today's writers are coming from the straining, compacted bowels of that beast we call the American penal system.
Kill my landlord. Kill my landlord.
Well, I'm distressed to learn that he had a spot on Saturday Night Live, and I've never been offered that.
I remember being at a bar one night in North Beach and just listening to him for an hour. I thought, could there be a better job than to be a magazine editor?
Starting with Outside and putting that out, really Terry has been the editor of every magazine that I've had.
And writers love working with him because I think he challenges them to do truly great work.
He was starting a new magazine called Rocky Mountain Magazine. He wanted a story. I found he had a very sure eye, a very sure touch.
So he came in to help me with Rolling Stone. It was fun and rambunctious, and Hunter was still around, and you know, there were some pretty wild days there in the 80s in that Rolling Stone here in New York.
Hooked up with an ambitious young entrepreneur with lots of friends, no money, and a vision.
Terry McDonell is a pro, a former top editor at Rolling Stone and Newsweek. But at 44, he grew tired of life under the corporate umbrella and decided to light out on his own.
Welcome to hell. That's what happens next. That really closes it. Now if we get two, if one of them is telling the truth, we're funded.
Next, McDonell tries some innovation and decides to see if you can use personal computers with desktop publishing features to put out a national magazine. No one has ever done it before.
Terry has got his own world inside of his head. And if enough people respond to that world, and I think they probably will, the magazine will be a success.
Celebrity Women's Magazine. Go.
The idea that he thought I can do lipstick too was just perfect Terry.
If you're a rule breaker, you couldn't find a better collaborator. It's always about questioning, it's always about curiosity, and I don't know anybody who approaches his work with the same imagination that Terry does.
He's a very good writer himself. Excellent writer.
He wrote for Miami Vice and for China Beach.
Before I ever met him, I had read his novel, California Bloodstock.
He's got a small book of poems. They're terrific.
Terry had chosen not to be in the publishing business. He would have made a world-class movie producer. I mean, even better than Harvey Weinstein.
He got me to write a song for the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
Sports Illustrated illustrates it every year.
He really is an artist. He's an artist in skill, in temperament, in point of view, and he's a craftsman in the way that he executes.
I don't think there's anything he can't do.
I wrote an interactive video game that was banned last year in England called Night Trap.
My name is Terry McDonell. I'm the editor of Sports Illustrated, and here's your new issue.
Terry inherited that tradition and that heritage and took it to the next level.
Sports Illustrated is a monster traditional brand. Empowered engineers and developers like all of you in this room creating new versions of Sports Illustrated. Driving today is the always dangerous David Link.
For me and Terry, it was like being kids in a candy shop. And we created a prototype on a touch screen 5 months before the actual tablet was in the hands of consumers.
And they put the video out on YouTube. It became very obvious Terry's efforts really pissed off Steve Jobs.
And I think what Terry's done here over these last 10 years is to really, really reinvigorate storytelling.
If you go back and read these magazines that he's done, they were not predictable, they were not formulaic, they were fun.
McDonell has the instincts of a junkyard journalist and the soul of a Golden Glove poet.
Terry is a guy that I completely trust, and I think that's, everybody does, everybody feels the same.
Terry's a very forceful person. He's one of those people who projects learning to everyone around him.
There are dozens of people who have worked for Terry, and I think they would all say the same thing. He makes me want to be a great magazine editor.
Well, I like to think that I'm always collaborating with Terry. I think actually what I'm doing is watching Terry work.
The fun is doing it. The heartache comes when it's done, kind of. Magazines have never been for me something that I was especially proud of afterwards, although I liked that part too. It was more the process of it. I love putting them together.
Terry? Really?
Thank you. You know, the first time I saw that video
I thought to myself, I hope they like it. The second time I saw it, I thought, this video is about weight gain. Well, you know, when something like this comes at you, you are reflective, you take stock, you can't help it. You want to let people in, you want to tell the truth, certainly about what you think. I think that being an editor right now is the most interesting time to be an editor because of all the possibilities that are coming. I think it's absolutely going to rip. And in that sense, change is going to be very, very good, especially when the challenge is basically change or go home. My response to that is no fear. Bring it. There is just so much interesting stuff to do.